Studies show that the best outcomes for children is when they live in a home with their married parents. If the world were perfect, then all children would have that chance. The world isn't perfect, though. And either by accident or as a consequence of the actions of adults, children will be in the need of people to step in for their parents. In our modern society, the role of finding homes for these children has been filled by the state governments. What happens when those government entities place politics above the needs of their charges? A recent case in the U.S. District Court for Massachusetts deals with that very subject. Plaintiffs Michael and Catherine Burke claim the state of Massachusetts Department of Children and Families discriminated for religious reasons against their application to become foster parents. When I looked at the case, what I saw wasn't simply religious discrimination, but DCF placing political viewpoints above not only the Constitution of Massachusetts, but what is best for the children in their care. So we'll take a look at that next on the Constitution Study.
Neighbors and have a few good friends. Every day we're everyday Americans. Oh, every day we're everyday Americans.
Hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Ingley here with the Constitution Study, where we read instead of the Constitution. Teach your Rising Generation be free. And I'm glad you could join me today. Children should hold a special place in our heart. Some of the most evil and vile people are those who harm children. So what happens when it's a government entity that participates? That's what we're going to look at. Now, if you want to find the links to the quotes and other things about the Constitution Study, we'll head to the website, constitutionstudy.com. I'll talk a bit more about the site and some of the things we offer there at the end of the episode. So for now, let's talk about this case out of Massachusetts involving Department of Children and Families. When I moved from New York City to a small town upstate, my very first friend was a boy my age who was in foster care. The details do not matter, but I remember his first foster family took care of him, but seemed distant and cold. A couple of years later, he was placed with another foster family, and I watched as my friend changed for the better. See, his new family was loving and kind and helped him grow from a scared child into a young man. Now, along the way, I got a small glimpse into the foster care system, which is not easy for either children or parents. It takes a lot to open your home to a child, with no guarantees as to what personality traits or even medical and psychological issues they may bring. For people prepared to be parents and families to those who either don't have one or whose families are dysfunctional, I tip my hat. While I'm sure there are those in the foster care system more interested in the check than the child, from what I've seen, they are a small exception. I've also seen reports of people in child services under many different names who seem to place what they think best above the needs of the child. This appears to be the situation in the case of Burke v. Walsh. Michael and Catherine Burke are described as a loving couple. After finding out they were infertile, they decided to become foster parents, hoping they may eventually adopt a child into their family. Now, from their complaint, we read, the Burkes applied to become foster parents to the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families. They went through 30 hours of training, lengthy interviews, and assessment of their home, health, and family life. In the end, DCF acknowledged the family's strengths, this including their willingness to parent a child with moderately significant medical, mental health, and behavioral needs. One interviewer praised how they really seem to understand adoption foster care. The process of becoming a foster parent is not easy. There's training to take, interviews to sit through, and numerous intrusive assessments of just about every part of the applicant's life, all of which the Burkes appeared to pass with flying colors. Not only did one interviewer praise the Burkes' understanding of the adoption and foster care system, but they were willing to take an otherwise difficult child, one with medical, mental, or behavioral needs. Sounds like the perfect candidates, don't they? But DCF denied the Burkes a foster care license and, as such, their last opportunity to become parents. Only one reason was given for that denial. They would not be affirming to a child who identified as LGBTQIA. I'm not sure the statistics in Massachusetts, but in general, most foster care systems are desperate to find foster families, mostly because there are so many more children in the system than parents willing to care for them, especially if the child has special needs. One would think the DCF would jump at the chance to have a family not only so well qualified, but willing to take on some of their more difficult cases. DCF's reason about not affirming an LGBTQIA child seems quite ridiculous for a couple of reasons. First, what percentage of children in foster care in Massachusetts identify as LGBTQIA? Again, I don't have the numbers, but by looking at the rest of the population, my guess is only a relatively small number of children would be affected if they were to be fostered by the Burkes. Second, I'm not an expert on the subject. I don't believe Massachusetts law would require DCF to place children with a family that they believe would not be philosophically compatible. Of course, the Burkes believe there is more to them being denied a foster care license. As DCF recorded, Kitty and Mike are devoutly Roman Catholic and not only attend church with regular frequency, they both also work for local churches as musicians. As faithful Catholics, the Burkes believe that all children should be loved and supported, and they would never reject a child placed in their home. They also believe that children should not undergo procedures that attempt to change their God-given sex, and they uphold Catholic beliefs about marriage and sexuality. Because of those decent and honorable beliefs, DCF decided the Burkes were not affirming and therefore prohibited from fostering any child in Massachusetts. In short, the Burkes believe they are being denied a foster care license because they're faithful Roman Catholics. This seems to be supported by something the author of their license study wrote. As the author of the license study put it, while the Burkes are lovely people, their faith is not supportive, and neither are they. In other words, it was not what the Burkes said, but the fact that their faith appears unsupportive that the author of the study concluded that they're not supportive. However, I can understand why the author of the Burke's license study may have felt they had to see things that way. You see, Massachusetts regulations require licensed adoptive or foster parents to promote the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of a child placed in his or her care, including supporting and respecting a child's sexual orientation or gender identity. Yeah, Massachusetts regulations require adoptive and foster families respect and support a child's sexual orientation or gender identity. However, the complaint also noted, yet at the same time, DCF regulations and policy and the Massachusetts Foster Parent Bill of Rights all prohibit religious discrimination against potential foster parents. The Burke's attorney points to Massachusetts law, but not their constitution. Specifically, Part the First, that's how they title it, Article 2. It is the right as well as the duty of all men in society, publicly and at stated seasons, to worship the Supreme Being, the great Creator and Preserver of the universe. And no subject shall be hurt, molested, or restrained in his person, liberty, or estate for worshiping God in the manner and season most agreeable to the dictates of his own conscience, or for his religious profession or sentiment, provided he doth not disturb the public peace or obstruct others in their religious worship. Wouldn't being denied a foster care license fall under the Burkes being hurt or restrained in their liberty? The Burke's case lists 5 counts of violation of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, 4 of the Free Exercise Clause and 1 of the Free Speech Clause. In all counts, the claim is that the law is not generally applicable, a requirement under the Supreme Court's strict scrutiny doctrine. The first 4 counts focus on the consideration of the Burke's religious beliefs and using those beliefs as justification for treating them differently than others. The last count deals with the law's coercive requirement that adoptive and foster parents express an idea that may violate their religious beliefs. While the complaint claims that the First Amendment is incorporated against the states under the 14th Amendment, I've repeatedly shown that the language of the latter amendment does not change the scope of the former. The Burkes are asking the court to declare that DCF stop discriminating against them and any others who hold similar religious beliefs, that DCF be enjoined from withholding the Burke's foster care license, and for legal costs and damages. As this is just the initial stages of the suit, we'll have to wait to see how things proceed. Since this case is likely to be appealed, it may take years before we get a final decision. To me, there are a couple of interesting things we should consider. First, While I do not subscribe to the Supreme Court's strict scrutiny doctrine, it's most likely what the courts will use to help decide this case. I would think DCF could not prove that this was the least restrictive means necessary to achieve what the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is most likely to claim as a compelling government interest in the mental and emotional well-being of children in foster care. After all, I would think there are plenty of children in the foster care system who would not be disturbed by the Burke's religious belief, thereby allowing them to provide what appears to be a desperately needed service without harming a child. Furthermore, by denying a license to anyone with a sincere Roman Catholic faith, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is denying the mental and emotional well-being of children who share that belief. Second, as the lawsuit points out, as faithful Catholics, the Burkes believe that all children should be loved and supported, and they would never reject a child placed in their home. They also believe children should not undergo procedures that attempt to change their God-given sex, and they uphold Catholic beliefs about marriage and sexuality. With the recent attempts by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to promote not only sexualized lifestyle in children, including denying the sex of these children, the question must be asked, is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts placing their political agenda above the needs of the children in their care? Why does the Commonwealth appear to be focused on the few confused children with mental health issues, to the detriment of others? It also seems that the Commonwealth is ignoring 110 CMR 7.1041E in favor of their transgender agenda. That regulation requires adoptive and foster parents to respect and make effort to support the integrity of a child's racial, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, and religious background. How can the Commonwealth claim to be promoting the mental and emotional well-being of their children when they place their politicized sexual agenda above broader mental, emotional, or religious needs? It makes you wonder if DCF is more concerned with a child's ability to mutilate their body rather than the overall health and welfare of the child. Which begs another question. Who is more dangerous, religious families or the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? It seems nothing in the foster care system can ever be easy. Sure, in a perfect world, in a situation where parents were not available, there'd be a loving family that would welcome these children in, and that's just not always the case. In a perfect world, the government would look at what was best for the child and try to find the best foster parent family to put them with. But we don't live in a perfect world. Yes, we live in a world where bad things happen, and children often suffer the consequences. But when government is the one doing the bad thing, when government denies the religious beliefs of foster parents, and by the way, of foster children, when the government places the desire to sexualize and mutilate children above their other needs, their need for a family, their need for love, their need for assistance in getting through the difficulties that life has placed on them, then I think government is the problem. I'm not saying there's a perfect solution to this. As the experience I've had with my friends, some foster families fit different children differently. Some would fit here, some would fit there. But I can't deny what I saw as the change in my friend when he had a loving family. Should that family have been denied the ability to be foster parents because of their religious beliefs? Because if my friend had decided he wanted to be a homosexual or decided he was a girl, the family might counsel him about, is that the best answer? See, it's this desire to rubber stamp a political agenda and placing that over what is best for the child that really is endangering not just the children, but our society as a whole. Now, as I mentioned before, you can go to the website, constitutionstudy.com, find this article. I've got all the footnotes, and I've got all the links to those footnotes as well. So you can double check my work, make sure I'm doing it right. Of course, you can also sign up for a mailing list. You can make a donation. You could ask a question, or you could check out the Patriots program. The Patriots program is designed to do a few things. It's really designed to help other patriots in their own programs. In other words, I'm not looking for people to divest what they're working on to work on the Patriots. I want the Patriots to help them be better in whatever group or entity they're in. We work on education, making sure we are educated, making sure that our educational tools are what the people need. We've got communication so that we can share the good, the bad, the ugly. So we can find out what's going on in the rest of the country and share that information amongst us. And then the Minutemen, the men and women who've trained and decided they will be ready at a moment's notice to come to the aid. Their aid or the aid of their neighbors. This is what we're looking for. These groups, these entities to help others do what they want to do, what their passion is. And I hope you'll check it out. Now, the Patriots is an invitation-only program. The way you get an invitation is by passing the boot camp. Read all about it there. Just you'll see the Patriots link on the menu bar, and all the information is there. Now, I hope you check it out. I hope you'll take the boot camp, and when you're done, I look forward to meeting you there at the Patriots. I hope you'll come back and join us here for the Constitution study.
Love the neighbors and have a few good friends every day.